Oh, man.
Welcome to The Know, I'm Brian. The big news yesterday was that Call of Duty Black Ops 4 will have a Battle Royale mode that developer TREYARCH is calling Blackout. But we don't know yet how many players will be able to compete in the new mode, and apparently neither does TREYARCH. While the new mode's map will be a whopping 1,500 times bigger than the iconic Nuketown map, director David Vonderhaar told GameSpot that the number of players who can participate in a match hasn't been decided yet. He added, "We have to create the best experience, and to create that experience in a Call of Duty universe, you have to try various flavors of that until you find the right one." So there you go, maybe they'll decide by E3, who knows. Ubisoft officials held a conference call with investors recently, and we learned more about what it's got planned for the upcoming fiscal year. The developer said it plans on releasing 3 AAA games between now and March 31st of next year, and we do know 2 of those, The Crew 2, which releases June 29th, and The Division 2, but that doesn't have a release date yet, but that still leaves one more unannounced game in that time period. No word yet on what it might be, but there's probably a good chance that Ubisoft will reveal it at E3 next month. You might have heard of E3, it's kind of a big deal, we talk about it a lot. Speaking of Ubisoft, we got one more nugget from that investors call. Apparently its pirate adventure Skull and Bones has been delayed. The game was originally set for a fall 2018 release. That's now been pushed back to next year or possibly even 2020. Ubisoft said that the delay will give it more time to develop the title, quote, to offer players an even more engaging experience. The game was announced last year at E3 and it was billed as having both a PvP mode as well as a single player campaign. While we're on the subject of multiplayer, it looks like No Man's Sky finally giving us the option to play with friends. You might remember we did a story about this a few days ago. There was some leaked box art for the Xbox One. It showed off multiple characters on the cover. That got everybody talking that multiplayer might be coming. It's true, it's happening. Director Sean Murray confirmed the feature in a tweet saying that you'll be able to play with your friends online July 24th, courtesy of a free update for the PS4 and PC, as well as the launch version of Xbox One. Murray added that you'll be able to, quote, explore together, meet random travelers, build shared bases, dogfight, race vehicles. We're so happy this is finally happening. So that's sweet, especially for the people who've stuck with the game all these years. You guys deserve it. Looks like we'll get a new trailer for Death Stranding at E3. That's according to none other than its creator, Hideo Kojima, who posted a picture on Instagram of what looks like a new trailer for the game. Okay, it was a screenshot of his desktop with a file, but everybody assumes that's the new trailer. Of course, Sony has already said that they're going to be focusing on Death Stranding at E3 as one of their big 4 upcoming exclusives for the PlayStation 4. Hopefully we'll get some gameplay this time, but you know what? I'll settle for some more weird cinematics. I'm fine with that. Sony announced recently that they're ending production of physical Vita games, but apparently that's not going to be the case in Japan. In an interview with Japanese site GameSpark, a rep for Sony Interactive Entertainment said that manufacture of PS Vita game cards within Japan will continue. That does make sense considering it's always been more popular in Japan than anywhere else. The rest of the world, not so much, except for I've got one, I still love it. You might remember that Sony recently said it's going to stop production of physical Vita games for its North American and European branches by the end of this fiscal year. It's a sad end to the Vita, but here we are. Looks like Steam is cracking down on risque anime games. HunieDev, the creators of the HuniePop game, says they got an email from Valve warning that their games will be removed from the Steam store if they don't comply with Steam guidelines on pornographic content. The dev tweeted, "I've received an email from Valve stating that HuniePop violates the rules and guidelines for pornographic content on Steam, and it will be removed from the store unless the game is updated to remove said content," which would be most of the game. And several other devs who feature games with cartoon women who don't wear a lot of clothes said they've gotten similar warnings. In another tweet, HunieDev called it an anime titty holocaust. Wow. Breaking news, there's a new Halo game coming out. Get excited. It's for arcades. Microsoft recently released a trailer for a game called Halo Fireteam Raven, which is a co-op shooter that takes place during the events of the first Halo. The Halo YouTube channel describes the game as a new immersive experience that hot drops players feet first into the boots of Fireteam Raven, a group of elite orbital drop shock troopers on the surface of Alpha Halo as they try desperately to prevent the Alien Covenant Alliance from taking control of the ancient superweapon. Sounds cool. It's due out this summer at Dave & Buster's location. So you know what? Get your tickets ready. Looks like Steven Spielberg is adding yet another potential directing vehicle to his already packed schedule. The legendary director has already said his next two projects are going to be Indiana Jones 5 with Harrison Ford, and then an adaptation of the famous musical West Side Story. There was also the rumor that he may adapt DC's World War II aerial ace comic series Blackhawk. If he wasn't busy enough with all that, it looks like he may also reteam with his Catch Me If You Can star Leonardo DiCaprio for a historical biopic based on the life of Ulysses S. Grant. Grant, of course, was Abraham Lincoln's favorite general during the Civil War, and he would later go into 2 terms as President of the United States. It'd be pretty neat if Spielberg could lure Daniel Day-Lewis out of retirement to play Lincoln again. He was awesome in that role. Then we'd have a Steven Spielberg Civil War shared universe. That's all the rage these days. In the past, when Spielberg took on a ton of projects, a few of them have fallen by the wayside, but it's pretty clear that even at 71, he's not slowing down. I would retire on a private fucking island if I was him at this point. He must really love making movies. I don't love anything that much, except video games. After less than a day in release, Deadpool 2 already breaking box office records. The Merc with a Mouth's bigger, more action-packed sequel pulled in $18.6 million last night, smashing the R-rated record, which was held by It at $13.5 million. The common thought in Hollywood is that an R rating limits your audience, but the growing success of these more adult-themed movies could change all that. Maybe these kids are just sneaking in, too. Have we ever thought of that? The first Deadpool made PG-13 MCU money. That's a lot of money. And the second one, it's poised to open even bigger, with box office analysts estimating an opening in the $130 to $150 million range. Also, they're just really good movies and funny, so that helps too. Anyway, that's all the news we've got for today. Let us know what you think about all these stories down in the comments. I read them, I'll be paying attention, and for all your news from every corner of the internet, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the Net. While the new mode's map will be a whopping 1,500 times bigger than the iconic Nuketown map, Director David Von der Haar told GameSpot that the number of players who participate in a match hasn't been decided. I kind of fucked that up. Let me,